Wives, what's the biggest secret you've ever kept from your husband? I made Brian coffee every morning for 11 years. 2 sugars, little bit of cream, and that expensive dark roast he bought from the place downtown. He'd drink it and say stuff like, God, I needed this, or can't start my day without it. I'd just smile and hand him the cup. Here's the thing though, it was decaf, the whole time. Every single cup. It started when I was pregnant with our daughter. Regular coffee made me want to throw up just from the smell. So one morning I grabbed the decaf by mistake and made his cup with that instead. He didn't notice. Actually, he said it tasted better than usual. I thought it was funny, so I just kept doing it. Months went by, then years. Brian would have his morning coffee and go on about how it helped him focus at work, how he couldn't think straight without his caffeine. I'd nod and pour him another cup of decaf. I know it sounds mean, but there was a reason I never told him. Brian had this way of making me feel insane. Like if we had an argument, he'd swear up and down he never said the thing that started it. Or he'd twist what I said until I wasn't even sure what we were fighting about anymore. He'd call me dramatic, tell me I was remembering things wrong, make me feel like my brain didn't work right. But then I realized he couldn't even tell he wasn't drinking caffeine. This guy who swore he needed it to function, who blamed being snippy on drinking too much coffee, who said he got jittery and anxious from the caffeine. All of it was in his head. That's when I started writing stuff down. Nothing crazy, just notes on my phone. Like when he'd say stress from work made him yell at me. I'd check the date and remember he'd been totally calm that morning after his decaf. When he said he was grumpy because he had too much coffee, I'd write that down too, because I knew exactly how much caffeine he actually had. 0. I kept a whole folder of screenshots from our texts where he'd say one thing, then later claim he said something else. I saved the decaf bags. I even kept receipts from the store. The breaking point was at his mom's birthday dinner last year. We were all sitting around the table, and Brian just lost it over something small. His brother made a joke about his job, and Brian started yelling, like really yelling. His mom got quiet, his dad told him to calm down, and Brian said, sorry, I've had way too much coffee today. I'm all over the place. I just sat there staring at my plate because I made that coffee. I knew what was in it. That night after everyone left, I told him. We were in the kitchen and he was still wound up, pacing around, blaming his outburst on being over-caffeinated. And I just said it. Brian, I haven't given you real coffee in over 10 years. He stopped walking, looked at me like I was speaking another language. Then he laughed, like it was a joke. What are you talking about? The coffee. It's been decaf since I was pregnant. You've been drinking decaf this entire time. His face changed. He wasn't laughing anymore. You're lying. I pulled out my phone, showed him the notes, the dates, the patterns. Then I walked to the pantry and pulled out the decaf bag I'd been using that week, put it on the counter in front of him. You really think you need caffeine to function, but you don't. You never did. Everything you blamed on coffee was just you. He picked up the bag, stared at it, put it down, picked it up again. This is insane. Why would you do this? Because you made me think I was crazy, and I needed to know if I actually was. He asked what that was supposed to mean, so I told him. About the arguments where he'd deny saying things, about how he'd blame his moods on external stuff that I knew wasn't real, about how I felt like I was losing my mind trying to figure out if my memories were right. But you weren't gaslighting yourself about the coffee, I said. You were just wrong. And if you could be that wrong about something you swore was true, then maybe I wasn't wrong about the other stuff either. Brian didn't say anything for a long time. Then he asked if I was serious, if I really kept this secret just to prove a point. I told him it wasn't about proving a point, it was about staying sane. He grabbed his keys and left, didn't say where he was going. I heard his car pull out of the driveway. I sat down at the kitchen table, made myself a cup of real coffee for the first time in forever. It tasted stronger than I remembered, kind of bitter, but I drank the whole thing. Brian came back 3 hours later, didn't apologize, didn't yell, just asked if I wanted a divorce. I said I didn't know yet. He's been making his own coffee since then. I see him check the bag every morning to make sure it says regular. He doesn't ask me to make it anymore.